Let's change cameras real quick. All right. Here we go. So today we're doing 213, and this is where we're going to actually set up and solve equations. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is what we call define a variable. That is, what are we trying to find? Use the let statement to define a variable. And then we set up an equation and solve. We use keywords to set up an equation, and then we solve. And then you answer it. Give exactly what the problem is asking for. Make sure you are answering what it's asking for. That's a big difference and what trips up some people quite often. Okay, here we go. Looking at number 1. It says Connor deposited. If it's a deposit, that means it's being added into the bank. So I need to think addition. Okay, into his checking account. If his new balance is 151, so that means it's equaling 151, what was his balance before the deposit? We want to know the balance before the deposit. The question is normally, not always, but most of the time, it is the X. So now we write our let statement. Let X equal amount we're going to change these words. Let X equal the checking account balance before deposit. It's the account balance before the deposit. Okay, so now we think about what's the process? What's the process to get to this new balance? Because the new balance is equal to 451. So we know it's going to be equal to 451. How do I get to that 451? Well, we take the new balance. So we have the new balance plus the deposit. I don't know the new balance. That's my X plus my deposit, which is $84, equals the 451. And now I solve. You subtract 84 from both sides, and I get that X equals 367. What does that 367 represent? That's the amount of money in the account. So my answer is $367. All right, next example. Number 3. 3/4 of the 8th graders of, I think, multiplication at Kingston Middle School went on the class trip. If 252 students, so that's the total students, went on the trip, how many 8th graders? So that's my question. So I'm going to let X equal number of 8th graders. Now, at this point, I'm not going to solve anymore. Because you can check that and you can do that on your own. We're just going to set them up. So I have plenty of time to set up several problems. Okay, so it says 3/4 of the 8th graders. I don't know how many 8th graders are. That's my X. So I'm going to represent that as 3/4 times X. And I don't even have to write the parentheses. And then it's if 250 students went on the trip, how many 8th graders were there? 3/4 of the 8th graders at Kingston went to the class trip. 250. Okay, so that means if 252 students went on the trip, so that's the amount that went on the trip. This is how many, the number of total 8th graders. That's the difference, total 8th graders. So it equals 252. This is my equation. You have to have 3 parts. You have first, you define the variable. Second is your equation. So you have the first is the define variable. Second is your equation. And third is where you solve. Which I'll solve this one. That's going to be 4 over 3 because you are multiplying by a fraction. So you divide, which means you multiply by the reciprocal. And when I do that, 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 252, 84 times. So then I'm doing 84 times 4. 6, 3. 32 plus 3 is that doesn't seem 4 times 4 is 6. Oh, that's a 1. That's why. Kimberly, 33. So we get x equals 336 total 8th graders. And this is step 3 where you solve. And this is your answer. 4 is the answer with units. Since it's a word problem, you have to have your units. Okay, now we're just going to set up the equation. I know I said that before, but we're going to do that now. Okay. All right, looking at number 5. Miss Karen has 7 children in her preschool class. She would like to give each student an equal number of M&Ms. If each child got, that means equals 23 M&Ms. How many did she start with? So we want to know how many did she start with? So that's going to be my let statement. Let x equal number of M&Ms to start with. Okay, so we know each child got 23, so therefore it's going to have to equal 23. So I'm going to take the total or the amount that she started with and divide by the number of kids, which is going to give me x divided by 7 equals 23. This is my equation that I'm going to solve. All right, moving on. Now you would solve it, but I want to, for the notes page, we're going to set up the equations. For the classwork homework, that's what we will set up and solve. Pocket folders are 39 cents each. If Carolyn paid $7.02, that means we're getting to equal the $7.02. Paid means we're equal. How many did she buy? So our let x statement, we got to define the variable. X is going to represent number of folders bought. All right, so she paid 39 cents each. She paid $7.02, so therefore it's going to be the equal $7.02. How do I make that $7.02? I do 39 cents times each folder. So it's 39 cents times the number of folders equals 702. Okay, next. Number 9. Again, we're driving at an average speed of 52 miles per hour. How long, so I'm trying to find how long it will take someone to take a 390-mile road trip. So miles per hour. So therefore, how long, that's going to be the number of hours. So I'm going to say let x equal number of hours because it's miles per hour. So I know that this length of time is going to be number of hours. Okay. So it's going to, will take, so that's kind of going to be my equal. So it's going to have to equal 390 miles. All right. So how long? It's 52 miles per hour. That per means to multiply. So I'm going to do 52 times the number of hours, which is X. So if you need to write that down, 52 times number of hours. If writing the game plan down first helps you, then write it. And now here's your equation. And we solve this. So you've got your let statement, your equation, and then you would solve. Okay, moving on. Number 11. Jack is 2 weeks into his diet, and now he weighs 179. So therefore, that's my equal to. So it's equal to 197, not 179. He lost 3 pounds. Lost means subtraction. The first week, 6 pounds the second week. So it's lost for both scenarios. We want to know what was his starting weight. So we're going to obviously, let X equal starting weight and then we are going to, okay, it's got to get down. So we've got to work towards how do we get to this 197 because that's what he's now at. So it's equal to 197. What's the process used to get to this 197? Well, he's got his starting weight and then he lost 3 pounds. So I subtract 3 the first week and then he lost 6 pounds the second week. So we have the start minus the first minus the second equals the now. There's your game plan. Here's your equation. And notice the equation is not the calculations to get to the answer. It is the equation that represents the problem. It's a big difference. You don't have the equation correct, you've got points taken off. All right, next. 13. A plant is 14 inches tall. It grows 3 inches per year. We want to know how many years it will take to reach a height of 38 inches. To reach that height, that means that's what I'm equaling it to. That's what I'm trying to get to. And I want to know the process to get to that. I let X equal the number of years. Okay, and then my game plan is going to be the starting height plus the growth equals the new height. All right, well, what's the starting height? The 14 inches is the start. So I have 14 plus, well, now how does it grow? It grows 3 inches per year. So that shows multiplication. So it's going to be 14 plus 3 times the number of years. So that's going to be 3x equals, what's my new height? 38. There's my equation. And now you would solve this. Just like any other equation. So I'm going to subtract 14, bring down the 3x, and I have 3x equals 24. Divide by 3, and x equals 8. And now I've got to think about what am I looking for? I'm looking for how many years. So what does this 8 represent? 8 years. So there's my answer. And last example, 15. It says 1/3 of the students of, I think, multiplication, may not be used, but it's the first thing I think of, in the marching band signed up for the pep band. Signed up for pep band. Then 5 students changed their mind. If they changed their mind, that's going to be kind of thinking about it went from being positive to negative. They changed their mind. So I'm thinking minus here. If there are 31 students in the pep band, so our 31 students, that equals how many students are in the marching band. So we want to know how many in the marching band. So I'm going to say, let X equal number in marching band. Okay, there are 31 students, so therefore that's equal. So I've got 1/3 of the students in the marching band signed up for the pep band. So we're trying to get to figure out how much. Okay, so we've got 1/3 of the marching band, and we've got 5 students that changed their mind. So that's going to be -5 equals the amount in the pep band. That's how we figure out how many are in the pep band. Well, for the marching band, that's going to be X, but then it tells me right here that there's 31 students in the pep band. So I can take this 31 and plug it in right here. So I'm going to have 1/3 X minus 5 equals 31. And there's my equation that I would now solve. Okay. Your job for the notes is that I'm going to ask you to go through and write the equation. You do not have to solve. And then on the classwork homework, you're going to solve as well as define the variable and write the equation. So you're going to write the equation and you're going to define the variable and write the equation for the notes. You're going to define the variable, write the equation, and solve for the classwork homework. Have a great day.